in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. If you have a cell phone, if you please put it in silent mode at this time. We have a restroom that's located down the hall. As you came in, the entrance is facing the left, facing the entrance on the left corner. Just ask that you please not wander beyond this hallway. Please help me welcome our thought pledge leader, Jonathan Dunn.
My fellow Toastmasters, most distinguished guests, the thought for the day, I say to you, why don't we all try loving our enemies? Will you stand and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would now like to call to the lectern our distinguished president, Ms. Toni Gittles.
Welcome to Central Florida Facilitators Toastmasters Club Beach Party. That's what happens at the beach. You lose things in the sand, right? We are called the Facilitators for 3 reasons. One, we are sponsored by the Central Florida chapter of the American Society of Training and Development, which is the premier organization for professional facilitators. And many of our charter members were members of this professional organization when we chartered. 2, a good facilitator needs to be a strong communicator and an effective leader, and Toastmasters is all about communication and leadership. To facilitate means to make things simple and easy, and we want to make things simple and easy for you tonight. We hope you have a good time. We hope there's enough pizza, help yourself, and we hope the evening provides value for you as you work toward achieving your individual goals. We have guests tonight. We're so happy to welcome them to our meeting. We have 4 guests this evening. Carlos, would you like to just stand up? And you've been here before.
Last year I was here. Belong to Club 8319 in Lima, Peru. Members since 205.
Thank you very much. And Judy Scher, are you a charter member, Judy?
I didn't know.
Yes. You're a charter member of our club, so please welcome. Right here.
Yes. Last time I was here was as Slim Pickens.
And for our auction, yes. He's one of our auctioneers that we can count on. We have another guest that is here at a Toastmaster meeting for the very first time, Jason Dykes. Would you like to stand up and just give us a 30-second on your
Jonathan Dunn kind of introduced me to the group by way of Facebook. It's been a while since we've seen one another, but I guess I'm a firefighter full time and just looking to grow as a leader, do some other things on the side. I have a gym, a CrossFit gym here locally, and I'm just looking to develop my communication and leadership skills.
Okay, you're in the right place.
There you go.
A reminder that our club officer elections are next week, and the nominees will present a 2 to 3 minute speech, even if they are running unopposed, so we can get to know you and why you want to participate at the officer level. When I call your name, could you please stand up? I'll introduce the slate so far. Finish chewing, Gail. Gail Hill-Smith for president. Stand up. Julian Cotto, vice president of education. President of Membership, Stephen Morgan, Vice President of Public Relations, Lynn Ayers, Treasurer, Mickey D, who is our secretary, not here today.
She is here.
Oh, she is here?
She's just
Is there?
changing
Okay.
into her beach
And,
attire.
all right, well, you'll meet Mickey when she walks in her beach attire. And the Sergeant at Arms position is still open, so in order that we have that fulfilled, if you could let me know if you'd like to participate as our Sergeant at Arms or run for that office, please let me know before next meeting. If there is no one, we will draft someone. We will all be Sergeant at Arms so that the room can be set up every week. In addition, our July 3rd meeting, if it's all right with everyone, we're going to cancel it because there's a lot of July 4th activities on the evening of the 3rd, which is the first Wednesday in July. Any opposed? All right. Don't show up. That's all for now. Tonight's Toastmaster loves the beach. It's summertime and the beach is calling. Jessica. Welcome to our own Central Florida Facilitators Beach Party. To lead our beachy meeting this evening, please welcome our own surfer girl, Toastmaster, and new distinguished Toastmaster, Jessica Guthrie. Aloha! So excited, it's summertime, I can go to the beach. Don't know about y'all, but that's where I'm heading on Friday for a nice long weekend. We have a fun meeting planned, lots of speakers, lots going on. There's lots of food. If you'd like to get up and go across, that's fine. I just suggest maybe not during our speakers. Make sure you give them your attention, but outside of that, please help yourself. There's pizza and drinks and all sorts of good stuff over there, so I think y'all will enjoy that. To start us off, I'm going to quickly ask for our functionaries to tell us a little bit about what they will be doing tonight, and they're basically here to help keep us on track for the meeting and help us see how we do on certain things. And then we're going to have an educational moment from our VPPR, but let's hear from our functionaries first. So to tell us a little bit about the role of Grammarian this evening, Gail Smith.
As your grammarian, I have chosen the word of the day, vacation. And we'll keep track of those who use it. Those who have an opportunity and don't use it, I will be collecting 25 cents from you. Don't worry, yes, for visitors. We'll collect it from you. Or who? Oh, that's right, or Road. Because she's giving her icebreaker speech tonight. So if you don't use it, I will collect. I'll also listen for colorful imagery and exceptional use of our vocabulary and grammar. At the end of the meeting, I will give a report and suggest some improvements. The word of the day is vacation, and I have put it into some rhymical words. The possibilities for the germination of rhyming words will be easy through the duration of this communication exploration we call Toastmasters. We can pursue the collaboration of our desperation and some inspiration with a little determination and intonation of this word, vacation.
Our Wizard of Oz this evening will do a great job, I'm sure, of counting our Oz, ums, and all sorts of fun stuff. We have Patti Herrera.
Thank you, Madam Professor. My job here is to keep track of audible functions such as Oz, ums, and double functions. That's the repetition of a word while the speaker is searching for the next thought. I will also know sentences strung together with bridge words like and or so, and I will sound a buzzer when any of these infractions are heard. You have to let me know if you don't want me to do the buzzer. I won't do it. And sometimes it helps you to not get distracted, but if it's going to be offensive, I won't do it. I'll just keep track. At the end, I will give a report of all the infractions.
Performing the function of timer this evening, Susan Morgan.
One of the skills Toastmasters practice is expressing a thought within a specific time. As timer, I'm responsible for monitoring time of each speaker in each meeting segment. I will operate the timing signal indicating to each speaker how long he or she has been speaking. For our prepared speeches to qualify for voting, speakers must speak not less than 30 seconds under their range minimum and not more than 30 seconds over their range maximum. I will turn on the green light at range minimum, yellow light at mid-range, and red light at range maximum. For table topics speakers, to qualify, speakers must speak at least 1 minute and no more than 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And for evaluators to qualify, evaluators must speak a minimum of 1 minute, 30 seconds, and a maximum of 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And that is what I will do this evening. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Thank you so much.
And the last functionary to be introduced is our vote counter, Toastmaster Mickey D. Tell us what you'll be doing.
I had a couple of margaritas on my way here, getting the spirit of the nice thing. So if I don't count the votes accurately, it's not my fault. I don't take responsibility for my actions. As vote counter, I will pick up your ballots for best speaker, best table topic speaker, best evaluator, and most improved speaker. I will tally the reports for award presentations at the end of the meeting. I will also pick up any comments you might have written for the speakers or any meeting participant and deliver the comments to the appropriate person. Thank you, Madam President.
And now, to provide an educational moment on the role of the Vice President, Public Relations, please welcome Toastmaster Stephen Morgan.
Toni had asked for a description of VPPR role, and especially since there have been a few things I've already started changing since I'm the current VPPR at the moment. The main role of the Vice President of Public Relations is to get people to walk through the door. Once they're here, you need to hand them off to the Vice President membership and their job to get them signed up. The idea is to get the word out, to get people to know that we're here, and to get them to want to come to the meeting. Therefore, we're putting on the public face and getting the word out. Generally and historically, that has meant dealing with getting announcements in the paper or in any other publications, as well as trying to do press releases. And also one of the duties listed has been in any newsletter that the club itself produces, which is usually from within the club. These days, things have evolved a little bit further, and our club has a few other options available from the social media sites. We have a Twitter account. We also have Facebook pages and now have a Google Plus page, and we've been setting up the website that is probably going to end up replacing the one we've been using. Those being public facing would fall under the public relations mantle. Now, whether or not you have the computer skills does not mean you have to have them in order to take on the role. There are other members who can help you. And if you want to learn those skills, it's a great role to take on if you want to learn them, because you will have to learn them. The idea for public relations, though, is to put on that face. When we have somebody achieve certain goals or accomplishments, we like to put the information out. I've been tweeting out when people give speeches, sometimes the awards we get for the meeting. Tossed out the picture of Jessica with her DTM just this past weekend. Getting that information out, which is great for everyone within the club, but also for people outside the club. And yes, there are people, for instance, following our Twitter feed from places even outside the country. I don't know why, but they are. Nonetheless, they are following it. We also have our blog up there, which, if you haven't been noticing, I've been putting up the videos of the meeting. The speeches are set aside in the blog entries if you want to see the speeches and the evaluations as well. I'm happy to do these things, but I want to see them persist forward, so it'd be great if anyone else wants to learn this information, especially since I'm not going to be VPPR forever. be nominating Toni for the next term. If you have any questions, of course, related to Vice President of Public Relations, you can ask me or anyone else who has held the position before as well. I'd be happy to answer those, and if you have questions on the site or suggestions, please speak up. By the way, all the members should have joined the Google group by now. You have all been failing at that because you've been getting the invites and ignoring them.
Yes.
Be doing that soon, or you're going to stop getting meeting announcements when we stop using the old site. And the officers, you need to log into your accounts as well. That is the information I have for you today, so if anyone wants to run against me, go for it. I'll be happy to just help. Madam Toastmaster.
All right, let's start this party. It's going to be a lot of fun tonight. We have a lot going on. A couple clarifications on the agenda. Rose Sasser's title of her speech is Management and Leadership. So if you'd like to make a note of that. All right. The title of Rose's speech is Management and Leadership, for those of you who would like to take a note of that. And Evaluator number 1 is Charlie Bombalier. TV, so if you'd like to make a note of that as well, that would be great. And now, the party really begins as we start our speeches for this evening. And we're really excited to have a first-time speaker with us this evening, giving her icebreaker, Rose Sasser. She is performing her icebreaker on her path that has placed her into leadership and management roles and to Toastmasters. Please help me welcome Toastmaster Rose Sasser.
Perhaps after this speech, I'll take a mini vacation. Just to recuperate. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, tonight I would like to regale you with the story of how I came to join the Toastmasters, how my professional and personal life have always seemed to guide me towards management and leadership type of roles. And now where all of you play a role in my personal and professional development into an area that I don't understand, which is management and leadership. My professional path began in a high school in a rural town in Virginia, where in my junior year I really didn't know what I wanted to do, so I was prompted to take a drafting class. I fell in love. From there, I pursued an education that was related to drafting. It was more engineering, but still along the lines, had drafting involved. And then my professional career has always been involved with engineering. I've worked for several companies, various roles. But in every role that I've been in, I have strived to master that role. Be it learning program languages so that I can improve my efficiencies and make my tasks easier. Sometimes that involved languages such as Visual Basic for applications, which I had to cram and learn. It also included other languages that were specific to the program that I was working in. While striving to master these roles that I was in, I always seemed to progress into more leadership type of roles, and I didn't know those roles. I knew my job, and I knew it very well, but I didn't know how to guide others to that type of excellence in their field when they worked for me. Even outside of the workplace, I find myself in management roles. I joined my homeowners association board so that I could watch after the interests of my household. As I got into that role, I noticed the management company needed a little bit of management. As treasurer, I led the way to hiring a new management company. I interviewed management companies, and then I reported back to the board on my thoughts and my findings on it. And the board went with what I had decided was the best path to take. And And even today, board members look to me for opinions that result in decisions being made. Seems a lot like management and leadership, and I don't know why. My pastime also hasn't escaped management. In a former employment position, I worked mainly from the afternoon to the evening. So when I was waking up, my friends were already at work. And when I was getting off of work, when I was at work, my friends were getting off from work. So it led to a kind of expensive nightlife. That had to change. And a friend of mine introduced me to another sort of entertainment pastime that also included a little bit of a social activity in it, and that was online gaming. Well, as you progress in online gaming, you get to a point where you have a group of people that are working towards a particular goal. That can be anywhere from 5, 10, 20, sometimes 40 people, all acting towards a common goal. This requires leadership. I haven't been in that role yet, thank goodness. But in an effort to motivate and encourage the leader that guides us through things, she asked me to take on a leadership role. So even in my pastime, I can't escape leadership and management. Author, professor, and former Pulitzer Prize nominee Warren Bennis wrote in his book on becoming a leader that the difference between being driven, as too many people are today, and leading, as too few people do. He said that there is a difference between leading, as so many, let me back up. Difference between being driven, as too many people are today, and leading, as too few people do. And my fear is that my drive and my willingness to help and educate and motivate people is being mistaken for leader. But at the same time, it is something that I want. It's the natural progression within a company to take on more of a leadership role. So it's a skill that I need to get better at. He also wrote, leaders are made, not born, and made more by themselves than by any external means. It is my hope that I'll turn this fear that I have and misunderstanding of leadership and management, and that I'll be able to conquer this thing that I'm so used to conquering when I'm in a role. It's my hope also that I will be able to accomplish this by completing projects within the Toastmasters program and with the help of all my fellow Toastmasters. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Everyone, please take a moment, and with the note forms in front of you, please take a minute and write comments to Rhoda, please, on her speech. And maybe, Timer, if you could give me a minute on the clock, that would be great. Be prepared to be wowed by amazing social commentary.
with a speech entitled, "If It's on the Internet, It Must Be True." Let's look at the state of America. Please welcome our very own CC, servant leader and thought leader, Toastmaster Jonathan Dunn.
Fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, roughly 2 weeks ago, I was at home on my vacation, when I decided to pull out my Toastmaster manual and engulf myself in my next project. And I read on there, draw entertaining material from sources other than your own personal experience. I don't watch television. I don't read the newspaper. I basically dwell inside of a cave each and every day. The one thing that I do engage in is email and going to ESPN.com to catch up on sports events. But I had a lifesaver. My sister Melanie, a State Farm agent, emailed me a State Farm commercial that I think you will all be familiar with. That commercial, the French model commercial. The commercial whose message is, if it's on the internet, it must be true. So I had my answer. I needed to dive into the internet for this project, project number 2. But man, oh man, you know, I'm usually a pretty optimistic guy. And I had to go to some websites other than ESPN.com. And I found out some horrible things about our very own country. Would you believe, brace yourselves for this, our government was behind 9/11. Our government was behind the Sandy Hook massacre. Our government, to get regulations put in place, was behind the Boston Marathon bombing. I was so depressed, I wanted to crawl up into the fetal position on the floor. But I knew as I had to provide for my children, that wasn't going to be acceptable. So I dove back into the project. And man, I'm really scared to tell you guys what I'm about to tell you. I hope there are no federal agents in here, unbeknownst to me. I'm going to whisper this next one. And please, nobody put me on any sort of blacklist. Our president is a Muslim. And he hates America. He's a socialist. I called my ex-wife up immediately and I said, I'm going to show our children some different cultures. We're going to move out of the country for a while, Melanie. And she said, that'll be good for the children to see other cultures. And I said, Kaylee and Gunnar, what's your favorite thing in the world? And universally, without any hesitation, they told me, Dad, we love French fries. So I said, that's it. Kids, we're moving to France. The home of the French fry. Our very first day in France. Wouldn't you know it? Just my luck. We were all kidnapped by masked armed gunmen. They took our passports. They took our telephones. They took all of our money. And just when I had lost all hope, the thing that had set me on such a desperate journey, it saved my life. Somehow, my Yahoo account book knew to send out an email to everyone in my contact list. I think Charlie got one, in fact, requesting assistance so that I could get back home to America. I have so many fans, believe it or not, that I suddenly found myself within a financial windfall. And as I made my way back to the United States, I contemplated, you know what? Maybe I need to shut down my gym. God knows you guys don't like the stories from it. And my mom and dad always thought, because of my mad oratorial skills, I would end up being a trial attorney. And I had so much money in the bank, I would be able to take 2 years off and pursue that dream. Fortunately, for each and every one of you in this room, when I was doing my research on what it would take to be an attorney, you know that I all have a very high moral standard and code of ethics. And I came across something I would have to engage in that I wouldn't like: frivolous lawsuits. So I dug into that. I found out in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, at a Pizza Hut, Miss Ann Klein received $35,000 from the franchisee because she slipped on a Coca-Cola. I dug a little deeper. She was in the midst of a domestic dispute. She had thrown the Coke at her boyfriend. I was like, I could never represent somebody like that. I'm going to check one more of these. Ann Mead, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, a software engineer. She went for early retirement and she sunk $250,000 into a Winnebago. Her dream was to tailgate at OU football games in Norman, Oklahoma. She had a great first experience. She took her $250,000 Winnebago. She went back on the I-4 ramp, back to her home. And this is where it gets really ugly. You're not going to believe me what I'm about to tell you. She decided in the midst of her trip, she thought she was really in a spaceship, that she was going to go make herself a sandwich. So she clicked it in cruise control. She ended up in the hospital with some very serious injuries. Fortunately for her, though, she found a great attorney that got her $2 million from the Winnebago company. They now have to put in each and every owner's manual to each buyer that while the vehicle is in cruise control, you have to stay manning the steering column. I came to this conclusion, though, thinking about the world as we now know it. There is an idiot born each and every second. Do you know how I know that? Of course. Where everybody gets their news. I read it on the internet. Madam Toastmaster.
Everyone will take a minute and write comments to Jonathan to provide him some feedback for his speech and some interviews that we know what is up. We are very excited to have a guest speaker with us this evening. So what do you do on vacation? Our next speaker visits Toastmaster meetings. I've known our next speaker since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, and I couldn't be more excited that he's here to speak with us this evening. Carlos Cueto now lives in Lima, Peru, after being a Central Floridian for 40 years. He belongs to Toastmasters Club 8319 in Lima, Peru, and has been a member since 2005. He's visiting friends and giving information about Peru during his vacation. With speech entitled Peru, a country yet to be discovered, please help me welcome my friend, Toastmaster Carlos Prieto.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters.
Good evening.
Peru. This is a wonderful country where I was born 70 years ago. I have had the opportunity to visit many areas of this country. I believe there are 102 distinct ecological areas around the world. Peru has 89 of them. In fact, we have the only oasis in the southern hemisphere, the South America at least. It's called Huacachina, just 3 hours from Lima. Lima is a big city, like all cities, full of tall buildings, people. You could be anywhere in the world with the same problems that big cities have. Now, although we are right under the equator, we should be tropical. However, you can see our climate is more Mediterranean. And this could be Sorrento or Amalfi Coast you're looking at. However, in winter, which is now, starting in June, you can go to Lomas de la Chay, which is up here. And this is an area that is dry, but in June, the cool dew comes from the cold ocean, hits the warm sand, and all these hills bloom with flowers and all kinds of trees. Condors probably are there, but it also has all kinds of birds, bees, and probably at one time deer and pumas. Now, condors have dwindled, and these are the seabirds that are on the outer islands. Now, I remember when I was in my youth, coming from the farm we had south of Lima, these birds would form a line, a horizontal line to the horizon, and they would follow me for 2 hours until I got to Lima without this line being broken. I recently took a trip like that, and coming back I was amazed to see how the line of birds had changed and they are broken. There are less birds now. What has happened? Have we overfished their fodder, which is the anchovy? This is something for the younger generation to figure out. Now, the Andes are the main core of Peru, and this is Huascarán. The Huascarán is the second largest mountain of the Americas. The first one is Aconcagua, which is 6,800 meters. Huascarán is 6,400 meters. Now, what is the interesting thing about this place is in the highlands you see falcons, which are tall, big blackbirds with huge, long chicken legs. And then this little animal called vizcacha. The first time I saw it, I said, what is this? It has a tail like a squirrel, but ears like a rabbit. So it's a little mixture there. They live in such high places, it's always so cold, and they have fur on their paws, on the pads of their paws. Now, I remember coming to a lake like this with snow-covered peaks, and right there on that lake were llamas eating the grass that grows at 13,000 feet. They paid no attention to us, of course. Here's the part of the Andes, and this is Polka Canyon, which is one of the deepest canyons in the world. It is twice as steep as the Colorado Canyon. And of course, the beautiful Condor, which is, has a beautiful flight, takes advantage of the air, the hot air. Now, this is something interesting that I want to show you. This is the Spondylus. Caral is the of the Americas. It is the oldest city in the New World. It is over 5,000 years old. One interesting thing about Caral is that there were no weapons found in this city. But they did find evidence of them having bartered. They went as far south as Chile for lapis lazuli, the blue stone, and up to Ecuador for the spondylus. Now the interesting thing about the spondylus, this little shell here, is that it grows, it thrives in warm, not warm, but rather cool water. But when the El Nino current, which is a change of temperature for warmer water, they go deeper to cooler waters. This is an ominous indication that bad weather is coming, floods and destruction. Now, here in Peru, if you're interested in history, you know, what a better place to be. Did you know that the Amazon River used to go out into the Pacific, but then the Andes came up and they trapped the dolphins in the river. And they evolved to become river creatures. And now the Amazon River goes the whole width of South America. Here's history, as I said. If you like history, come to Peru because we're full of history. This is Caral, just close to Lima. And here, of course, you see the Nazca lines and the multicolored pottery of southern Peru. These are mantles of Paracas. And the Persian rug, I think, has 104 stitches to the inch or something, and this they have 400 instead of 404. But the colors are bright. These things are over 800 to 1,000 year old, and the colors are still bright. Here's more examples of culture, of different cultures that have influenced each other in a minor way. The best way that somebody explained it to me is, think of your hand as Africa. North Africa is Muslim. And then as your fingers, as you go further down the continent of Africa, there's less of an influence. That was the same thing with the pre-Inca Empire. So there are many things to be discovered in this old country, so come down for a vacation.
Thank you, Carlos. I have a timer. I'm going to give you a minute on the clock if everyone would take a moment and write some feedback for Carlos. Well, that was wonderful. We heard great speeches today. May we have a report from our timer on the times for these speeches?
Rose required time was 4 to 6 minutes, and she took 6 minutes and 11 seconds, so she qualified. Jonathan was 5 to 7 minutes. He spoke 7 minutes and 13 seconds, so he qualifies. And Carlos had 5 to 7 minutes, and he spoke 8 minutes and 36 seconds, so he doesn't qualify tonight. But we sure enjoyed the speech, at least I did. And that is my report.
Thank you. If everyone would now, if there's a place to vote for best speaker, and the two folks that qualified were Rose Sassler and Jonathan Dunn, please vote for best speaker, and our vote counter will be around to pick up those votes. They're all voting. I will introduce the next segment of our meeting, and leading that will be Lynn Ayers. Lynn Ayers joined Central Florida Facilitators in May of 2012 and is celebrating her 1-year anniversary as a member of Toastmasters this month. She has enjoyed every minute and continues to improve her communication and leadership skills. Lynn cannot think of a better environment to improve her skills and looks forward to our meeting every week. Please help me welcome Lynn as our table topics master this evening.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. The table topics portion of our meeting gives us an opportunity to practice our impromptu speaking skills, where we learn to think quickly on our feet. Now, I will not call on guests unless, of course, you would like to participate. You're more than welcome. Our theme for the day is beach party, and our word of the day is vacation. But please try to remember to use the word of the day, vacation, in your 1 to 2 minute response. If you could experience a sailing adventure cruise on any river, lake, or ocean in the world, what body of water would you choose for your trip? Susan.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. Well, if I got time to go on a vacation, I might try a cruise, probably in the Atlantic. Pacific's way too rainy. But I think I've been to so many lakes and so many rivers and so many oceans. Well, maybe not too many oceans, a few oceans. That it would be really hard to decide where I wanted to go for a vacation. So I think I would take a cruise. Maybe I'd do one of those Disney ones and have a lot of silliness go on. That might be a lot of fun. Take my kids along. They really enjoy that. Even the teenagers, I think.
Thank you, Susan. You look like a party animal. Tell us about the craziest party, the wildest party that you've ever attended, Toni.
Well, it had to be my freshman year of college, and it had to be the first and last wild party I ever went to. This was at the University of Iowa in Iowa City, and I was invited to a fraternity party, and it was a pajama party. And as I am today, still a naive young girl, this was way out of my league. First of all, there was excessive drinking, as you might suspect, and many of you might have enjoyed or recall similar experiences. But there was making out all over you for the fraternity house? And I'm like, I don't even know this guy. Come on, you've been to college. So we had the pajamas, we had the making out, we had the drinking, we had the loud music in the background, and we had me, a little old freshman at the University of Iowa, who, if I recall correctly, never went back to a fraternity party. Really didn't. Never took tabletop exams.
I think there's a side of you we don't know about.
One time, that's the story.
Do now.
What is one vacation destination that many people think is just fabulous, but which you personally have no desire to ever visit or revisit? Madam Toastmaster.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Madam Tabletop Master. I'm having a really hard time with this because everywhere I've been has been just absolutely fabulous. I stumped someone to tell you my favorite instead. Or one of the places that I really want to go back to. And as my mom can attest to, this is one of my favorite places in the world, which is the Greek islands. I've been twice. The first time was part of a round-the-world trip when I was very young. We went to several different countries, and one of the places we stopped was in the Greek islands. We were there for 2 weeks. And it was very deserted, and one part that we went to and another part was more built up. And we just had the most amazing time being on the beaches, eating the most amazing food. We stayed at this one hotel that was literally on a rock, nothing else around it. It was a 2-hour small boat ride to get to this small little hotel that was perched on the rock. We even had to take a little boat to go to the beaches and back. They had the best food. They had these stuffed tomatoes with rice, which to this day I cannot remake. I've tried every which way that I can. It's funny the things that you remember. I also remember my sister. We had an event one evening while we were all at dinner. We couldn't find my sister. We still couldn't find her. We went to the room. We were knocking. Eventually, somebody had to climb the outside of the hotel and go through the balcony, and they found my sister sleeping, and she'd slept through the whole thing. She'd been asleep for hours and hours and never knew anybody was looking for her. So that was one of the funny experiences we had there. And remember other parts of the islands that we went to, they had cats everywhere. And we just loved that. They were just wild cats everywhere, but they were really sweet, pretty domesticated considering they were wild cats, and we had a lot of fun with that. I went back several years later. It was a graduation present from grad school, and I went. And this was very different, and we were with a group of people. We took different sailing trips, and we saw a whole bunch of sights, and we just had the most fabulous time, and I'm just so dying to go back. So if you ever get a chance, go visit the Greek islands. I can't say enough about how great it was. That and tabletop.
Thank you, Jessica. Would any of our guests like to try? Justin, would you like to?
Jason.
Oh, Jason, I'm sorry.
No, thank you.
Oh, come on.
Don't worry. The others are Toastmasters.
Would one of you like to try?
How about you?
Okay, I'll try.
Okay. What is the most fun you've ever had with a group of close friends? Close friends.
Well, I used to be a tour guide and I took lots of groups to different places, but I can't say that they were close friends. And I don't think I'd ever been, I know, when I was in college. We rented a villa in Spain and there were 6 or 7 of us. We took the train through France and we stayed in this villa south of Barcelona in the Sitges. And there were 6 boys and 5 girls, and there's only one couple. They were engaged, but the rest of us were just friends. The girls slept upstairs and the guys slept downstairs, and I was complaining that breakfast wasn't very good, so the guys came up and carried me out of bed and put me on the table for the breakfast. And then we went to do a midnight skinny dip, and we ran into ants all over the beach, so all these naked people are running around with the ants. There was
one restaurant nearby, which was across the road, it smelled of mice, but we went there every night, and they took forever to cook, so they brought us wine. And we drank wine and got drunk before the food came, and then we had the food, and then we went back to our villa. It was all very innocent, believe me. And, we went into Barcelona, and one of the boys left his wallet, passport, and money in a restaurant that we'd been in, but the Spanish was so kind, the owner came running after us with all his stuff and gave it to him. So it left me with a wonderful impression of Spanish people, which has never changed. So I must say that was an unusual trip, but when it was a long time ago, we all got very brown on the beach, and we just had a wonderful time together, and we're still in touch with each other a few years later. What a vacation. Thank you.
Alrighty, our last segment has come to an end. Flies by when you're having fun. Time flies. Speaking of time, should we have a timer's report?
Spoke about a vacation on the water for 1 minute exactly. Toni spoke about a wild party for 1 minute and 19 seconds. She qualifies. Jessica talked about her favorite place instead of her least favorite place for 2 minutes and 7 seconds. And Judy spoke about her trip with close friends for 1 minute and 46 seconds, so she qualifies. All of our table topics people qualify.
Thank you. You know, but now turn it back over to our Madam Toastmaster. Yes.
Just hear the music in the background. Well, I hope you all had a good time for the speaking portion of our meeting. We heard some great speeches, we heard a lot of fun table topics, and now we go to the evaluation part. It's funny, we don't really have this at our beach parties typically, but why not? This is always fun, and I appreciate all of you dressing up and having a good time with us tonight. And now I get to turn control of our meeting to our general evaluator. Icky, sticky, buggy, muggy, humid, mixed with sand, dirty water, and hot, hot, hot sun burning your body. Give me sunglasses, a big floppy hat, pizza, a beautiful conference room, a Toastmasters meeting, pizza, shelter from the sun, lots of awesome people, and yes, now that is my idea of a great beach party. Please welcome our general evaluator, distinguished Toastmaster, Toni Gail. As your general evaluator for this evening, I will take us on a vacation. No, I won't. I'm going to stay here, actually. I have to use the word in a sentence. It is my job to evaluate the entire meeting, which I will do later on, but also to introduce the evaluators, which we're going to do right now. We've had 3 very interesting, very different kinds of speeches. We have 3 very different kinds of evaluators, so we'll see how that goes. And let's see, are they dressed up? We've got, Charlie's getting ready, okay. So, to introduce our first evaluator. He has been a Toastmaster on and off for about 4 years, but recently has determined that Toastmasters is too valuable to take lightly. Please help me welcome Charlie Bondelier, evaluating the icebreaker of Rose Sasser.
Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests, especially Rose. Would you all agree that she's going to be very busy getting ready for the vacation she just earned? Because that was a great icebreaker speech. I was very impressed with the professional way that your delivery went to the whole room. Your eye contact was very good with everyone. You minimize your need to read any notes. I know you got stuck in one little area there, but that was insignificant for the whole presentation that you did.
I think that if I could help you any, and there is no need in this world that you need to be afraid to get out of this lecture. Because first of all, you're short, so you only see your head like this, and you're like hiding. You did an excellent job. You're so powerful and so confident in your speech that everyone was really impressed with, I believe, with the way that you did your presentation. Of course, the more that you get used to speaking, you're not a rookie, you're actually a veteran at this. You should go on another vacation after this because you're really good at it. I can't wait for your next presentation because I think once that you have already broken the ice here, I really believe that you're gonna let us know more about Ro and what her real motivational and qualifications are. You're very, very good at leadership. You're very good at management, whether you think so or not, because there's an air about you that people want to listen when you're talking. And I think everyone here would agree that the more that you speak and the more that you do some of these speeches, it's going to reflect on the way that you present yourself, because you already have confidence in yourself. It's just being more powerful with your voice. You did have a little tendency to be a little too, not stagnant, but the same. You need more variation in your voice, in the volume. Other than that, I think the only other thing that you really missed out for your first time was you forgot to wait for the Toastmaster to approach you when you left. You did a magnificent job, and I can't wait for your next one.
He said I did the same thing. You walked away from me. That's why we evaluate, because we need to hear what we have to say. Julian Cotto is pursuing his lifelong dream of becoming a much improved evaluator by giving feedback in an assertive, nurturing, and positive manner. Tonight, evaluating the speech of Jonathan Dunn. Please help me welcome competent Toastmaster Julian Cotto.
Don't start counting yet.
If it's on the internet, it must be true. When I was a kid, if it was on TV, if they said it on TV, it must be true. So if it's on the internet and they said it on TV, it's etched in stone. John, this was one of the best speeches that you've ever given, that I have. So I'm glad I wasn't on vacation when you gave this speech. I'm glad I was here at the Toastmasters meeting. The highlight of your speech were your stories. That is a skill that is hard to develop. Most people tell us about stuff, but they never weave it into a story. Every point you made, he had a story to go along with. That is the reason I believe that you captured the audience's attention and you kept the interest, and the audience was laughing with you and enjoying your experience because of the stories. Gives the audience an emotional connection to what you're talking about, instead of just telling us about a bunch of facts and figures, so on and so forth. That was really the best thing that I found in your speech, was the series of stories from how you even started with the topic, which was a story about your sister and the State Farm commercial, which really was a great segue into your speech, which was to entertain the audience through resources, through stories that weren't necessarily personal. You also did a much better job in your vocal variety. You were toned down. You have a great voice. Your voice is very powerful, and part of your challenge is to tone it down and not blow us away with that magnificent, powerful voice that you had. And you did a great job in modulating it. You could use a little bit more vocal variety, like get some tonalities up and down, but you did a great job in that. If I had a couple of suggestions where you could improve, your body gestures were not congruent or didn't really support your stories as much as they could have. You tend to speak like this. You did address both sides of the stage, the audience. You didn't favor one side or the other. I didn't catch that. I saw you made eye contact with people. So I would suggest that you work more on your body gestures, and you are going to be an exceptional presenter. Madam General Evaluator.
Evaluator has been the recipient of many evaluations during his 15 years in Toastmasters. He has seen everything from the whitewash evaluation, providing no suggestions, to the chainsaw evaluation, providing no positive feedback. It is his opinion that an effective evaluation absolutely must have both positive feedback and suggestions for improvement. Here to provide his evaluation of Carlos Cuento's speech, please welcome Advanced Toastmaster Gold, Stephen Morgan.
Carlos, a speaker to be discovered from the country yet to be discovered. Showing us here how things might be different elsewhere. Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters guests, particularly Carlos, you gave us a very fascinating speech, and particularly showing us a whole bunch of new stuff. And I love learning new things. I loved absorbing all these information, which then I'll spit back later at some point in time. But you were providing us a whole bunch of information that I had never known because I had not really talked to anyone from Peru before. Therefore, talking about the country itself from someone from there, you were able to provide a whole bunch of information, all new to me, and visually as well with the slides. I particularly liked hearing about the different aspects of the culture, and especially when you introduced the one slide with the, here's more examples of culture, and left it at that for us to absorb. What I found very interesting following this is that whereas you had the visual aids, and the hard part with using any of the overhead visual aids is where is the attention going to be? Because the attention should be on the speaker. But of course there's going to be some attention paid to the slides. Those people who like to put up slides so that they're not getting any attention, you're not getting the idea right. You were actually losing some of the attention to the slides, but you were actually behaving behind the lectern as if you were still the center of attention. Your gestures were still matching as if you were at center stage. Being very evocative. The particular one was, I had written down when you were talking about tall, big black birds, long chicken legs, and you were actually doing the gestures to match it. Although we were looking at the screen, I saw that you were actually doing those. So you have the natural gestures to pertain to that, and the only thing I can suggest is find some way to be able to make sure that the balance is moving back and forth. When you turn to talk to the screen, of course, everyone's attention is going to move to it. Therefore, it behooves you, of course, to not use the notes as best you can. There wasn't anything to read. You were just seeing which of the pictures were there. Pointing out the particular pictures was very helpful. The best part, of course, is that all of this was coming from up here. You weren't actually using notes, you just had the pictures. You knew what you were talking about. For the rest of us, it made it very clear that you were therefore the expert, that you knew what you were talking about and were able to provide to us. You could have answered questions, if I'm sure, if we tossed them out. You were coming across as the walking encyclopedia, or perhaps a professor. This would have worked in a great classroom setting, for example, because that was the kind of impression that I was getting from it. Therefore, if I ever get the chance to ever take a vacation, I will definitely put Peru up there on the list. But I'm going to want you as tour guide. So make sure that you're still available. Madam General.
Thank you. That concludes the evaluators portion of this meeting. So let's have a timers report and see if they qualify.
Charlie spoke for 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Julian spoke for 3 minutes and 15 seconds, not to be outdone by Stephen, who also spoke for 3 minutes and 15 seconds.
You have a ballot in front of you for best evaluator. All three qualify. Please vote for Charlie, Julian, or Stephen. If you have any more comments for our speakers, you can complete those at this time as well. And our vote counter is coming around to collect your ballots and any comments that you have. We're going to call on the functionaries next for their report, and then I'll give my evaluation of the meeting. Our icon this evening was Patti Ferreira. Patti, let's hear your report.
Thank you, Toastmasters. Everyone did very well this evening. I only have a few to report, like myself. See? I gotta join the club. Toni just one up and one so, total 2. Julian, a double clutch on the word day. And Carlos just one so towards the end as a, and that's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you, Patti. Our grammarian is Gail Hillsmith. Gail, let's hear your report.
I noted much imagery this evening. Thank you very much. In particular, the opportunity with our table topics, the themes, the topics that you gave us, Lynn, this evening, conjured vivid images for all of our speakers. Toni, love the way you opened up the meeting to start with the theme. You always leave things at the beach. The beach is calling, Jessica. So thank you for opening us up with the theme. Jessica, I don't know if others detected it, but she used a great bridging technique for her table topic. And she said, I'm stumped, so I'll talk about my favorite vacation. I wanted to note that, so to let others know that you don't have to necessarily talk on the topic, but you very gracefully bridged into the topic. Mickey D, I had 3 margaritas on the way over, so I don't take any responsibility for my voting accuracy. We are in Florida, yes. Ro, for your first speech, I have a feeling you are going to be in competition with someone who I think just has a great command of our English language, Stephen Morgan, because of how you regaled your vocabulary this evening. Thank you. I'm anxious to hear more. Jonathan Dunn, mad oratorical skills. I thought I'd be an attorney. Love it. Mad oratorical skills. Carlos, an ominous, when you were speaking of the fish, the spiky fish, or shell, okay. When this shell goes deep, it is an ominous indicator for floods and destruction. Perfect, perfect. We just went right down that path with you. Lynn Ayers, salient water system. Nice. Almost an alliteration, salient water system. However, I think it's your southernness.
I don't think that's what I said. You misunderstood.
Maybe it's your southernness, but we don't turn it back over to the Toastmaster. But we do return it, or we will bring the Toastmaster back. We don't turn it back over. And Charlie B., you minimize the need to read your notes. Well phrased, well said. Then, however, as soon as I caught that, you got some slang in there. The more speeches you're going to do, let's articulate, the more speeches you're going to do. And Julian, loved it, but I did catch one tense misuse. The highlight, singular, of your speech were, plural. The highlight of your speech was, okay? And then superfluous word. If I had a couple of suggestions, well, you're going to give us suggestions, it's not an if. So no ifing around. Those who I heard use the word of the day were Toni, Jessica, Susan Morgan, Stephen Morgan, Roe, Jonathan, Carlos, Judy, Charlie, Julian. Did I miss anybody? If not, I'll collect a quarter from Patti, Susan, Nikki. Did you say it?
Yes.
Okay.
You wrote it.
Oh, wait, you wrote it, okay. Patti, Nikki.
She was on vacation.
Our Toastmaster went way overboard. Love it. But I just want to let you all know, if you haven't been Toastmaster yet, decorations and pizza are not required, but they're very desirable to spice up the meeting in a very nice way. Thank you, Jessica, for doing that. Our Toastmaster actually did an exceptional job in quite a few ways, and I do want to point those out. She did arrange to come early and arranged for a lot of people to come early and help her. Great leadership in enrolling and engaging people to participate in with a nice team spirit. I even got here early, so you know what a good job she did motivating people with her decorations and pizza. Actually, there was a lot of teamwork going on here, and I just really want to compliment the group. So when something needs to be done, people show up, and I think we all appreciate that and expect that that's going to be done. Also, when the president forgot to introduce the educational moment, she went with the flow. Made sure it happened. Thank you very much for that. One of the things that you do as a Toastmaster is get confirmations from our participants, from our members. And there were a lot of last minute confirmed people unconfirming. So again, that's a leadership, that's why Toastmaster, being the Toastmaster is a leadership responsibility. You have to manage that, you often have to manage it at the last moment. Thank you for doing that, and not only that, you retrieved our banner, good job. Everyone who had a role this evening did an exceptional job, and it really shows what preparation can do to enhance the meeting. So I appreciate all of that. Lynn not only took over as our Sergeant at Arms this evening from Pat, who also called in this morning saying she couldn't come, but picked up the pizza. Where is she? Good job, Lynn. Thank you for that. Also, she really, before I even asked her what I could do, she really had the room set up and the buzzer in place. And it was under control. Great job, and great job as tabletop Toastmaster. You know, the questions were somewhat challenging, but very appropriate to the theme, and I thought you did a good job with the time management as well. All of our speakers are to be commended. Really appreciate Carlos coming in. We appreciate Rose stepping up so early in your membership. Give your icebreaker. You did a really wonderful job. And Jonathan, as usual, got our adrenaline going. Our evaluators, as you see too, and for Ro and for Patti, who still fairly new at this, we have a lot of different personalities in the room. Yet one thing that I love about public speaking and about Toastmasters is while there's a format for speaking, there's a format for how you evaluate, we get to see the individual's personality and how they go about either doing their presentation or giving the evaluation. All the evaluators talked about what was done well, as well as offered suggestions for improvement, which, as we heard from Stephen's introduction, very important part of the evaluation process. One of the things that we can do better is confirming our role. It seems to be, for the most part, the same people that are coming to the meetings at this point, and even if you've confirmed at the meeting, it's nice for the Toastmaster to see that you're still planning to be back and be here. So I would, I did know from Jessica's emails and from some last-minute changes that she was needing to hear from everybody. So please be responsible in that manner. It really does make a difference to the Toastmaster particularly, who's scurrying about at the last minute trying to get things done. So that's my only suggestion, except maybe we can get permission to leave the decorations up for our banquet. And we can just have a beach party banquet and the room's already decorated. So Lynn, you want to give a call and check it? At this point, I will be the president again, and I'd like for you all to look around the room and vote for the most improved Toastmaster this evening. Anyone that has speaking role is eligible. Sorry, Lynn, didn't quite get around. My fault. And our vote counter will come around and pick up the ballots. Most improved Toastmaster. While she's doing that, I'll just go ahead with some other comments. Our guest, Jason, had to leave early. He didn't plan enough time. Thank you for inviting him. He did indicate that he would give me a call, talk further, and that he would be returning. He's already got his first speech planned in his head, so Rose probably motivated thinking about that. So that looks pretty good. And John, can you give him a call? And,
He's in.
He's in. Okay, that's great.
But I'll, of course, follow up with him because things change.
And I'll be talking to him before the next meeting. Carlos, thank you for your presentation. Do you have any comments for us about our meeting?
Thank you for having me. And yes, I enjoyed coming here, and I want to congratulate Jessie for obtaining her BTS.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I was here with you. That. So congratulations. You deserve your hard work as long, but it's worthwhile. And thank you again for having me.
No, you're very welcome. Judy, thank you for coming. Do you have any comments for us about the meeting? Don't you miss us tremendously?
I do miss you. I do miss you. But I think it was a great meeting. Everything, the decorations, the speeches, the evaluations, and glad to see the club flourishing. Seems to be in a lot of new faces. That's wonderful. That's always good to have new faces. So, and the hard workers are still the hard workers. And it was great to be here. I enjoyed seeing you all.
Thank you, Judy. Slim, you got any words for us?
Go well. This was really a terrific meeting, and if I need to go on a vacation,
only live, I'm about 10 minutes down the road, I'll just come here and save you money. The vacation spot seems to be right here. Wonderful meeting, thank you all.
Our awards banquet and installation of officers is Wednesday, June 19th. How many are planning to attend? Everybody? Oh, not Julian?
Oh, yeah. Forgot, I'm gonna be, I'm running for something, right? We're running from something.
Running from something. Exactly. All right, very good. I don't have any information about it, it'll be here. We've started doing a little bit of coordination, but not a lot, so. You want to get to work?
I know.
Okay, I know.
All right,
Okay.
let me know. I'm waiting.
Okay.
Whatever you need.
Thank you. The 10th anniversary celebration is Sunday, June 30th, a reminder about that. It'll be from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Sonapa Restaurant in Maitland. Hope you got that information. I do have some handouts, those that's coming up. Anything else, Jessica, about either of those two events?
Well, I'll speak to the 10th anniversary. It's going to be tons of fun. Y'all have to come. It's really going to be great. I went and tested all the food, I think, tonight at Sonapa, so we're in good shape there. It is going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to invite a lot of people who are past members and dignitaries and such like that. We're going to have part of it just be a pure social hour. It'd be good to catch up with people you haven't seen for a while, and that'll be a lot of fun. Just a short program, something fun, something to get everybody involved. So that would be a lot. That would be great too. We are going to ask that everyone contribute $10 to pay for food, and trust me, it's a great deal. You know, it's going to be a lot of food, and it's good. It's really good food. I see Susan on her head. It's really great food there, and there is a cash bar available. So if you'd like to drink, knock yourselves out. So it'll be a lot of fun. Again, 1 to 4, Sonapa, June 30th. Be there. Thanks.
I spent this weekend compiling the invitation list. We have about 200 people that will be getting an invite sometime this week. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Did that list look okay? Did you get a chance? You know who I noticed wasn't on there is Jim Ellis, because I only have his work address.
Yes, I went and added that to the list, but I did see 200 names on what I received. But I did put Jim Ellis's on there.
You put it on there?
Why don't you
just
send? I went ahead and added, but I haven't gotten back to you.
Oh, well, just send it in a separate email, I think, to Julian and to myself. Thank you for that. Anybody else who might have looked at the list, find anybody missing? Okay, take a look at that so we can get the first set of invitations out. Any other comments about that? Yes, Gail?
Not about that.
Okay,
But
moving along.
I just want you guys to know that I went to the conference, the District 84 conference Saturday. I just did Susan and Stephen and, of course, Miss DTM over here. We do have lots of photos. I have a new camera and I'm not quite sure how to get it on. So I'll figure that out. But it was so exciting to see a fellow Toastmaster after how many years? 11 years, work to receive that DTM. So come November 1st to 2nd, of which this theme is getting us right on board. It's going to be a Caribbean theme up in Daytona. Mark your calendar November 1 and 2 because, like Jesse, I anticipate to be walking for my DTM.
All right.
But it took me 27 years.
Thank you. That makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Stephen still doesn't have it.
And I did circulate, I don't know if everybody saw, but I did circulate, I'm coordinating the food for our June 19 party here. So we'll keep it good, and I need to know if I have a budget also.
All right. Well, our next meeting is the first week in June, the first Wednesday. So a lot of things we'll finalize at that point.
And who signed up for hummus and veggies? I did. Your name? Okay. No problem.
Okay, Lynn, it's your turn. Let's talk
Got an
about
announcement
next
to your
week.
left.
What?
Got an announcement over to your left.
Sorry.
Go.
Two really quick things. One really cool thing about the conference is the Morgans and I won the 50-50.
Oh my God. Serious?
Serious. 50, 25, 25 this time, so 2 people would win, and just by fluke, complete fluke, they won and I won. So that was way cool. So you need to come to the conferences because it was some good buckets. We were all very happy.
Tell them how much you guys won.
We won $350 each.
Wow.
So
Kind of paid for the conference.
right there. So it's kind of just fun information. So you need to come, and when Gail's doing it, maybe you'll be the winner. We got to keep it in the Central Florida Facilitators. Right? The second thing is, I wanted to thank Stephen. He really helped to try to set up the audiovisual stuff at the last minute today, and all the folks who helped set up today. Thank you so much. We need to break it all down, so if everyone would help pull all the fringe and everything down and know what staff it all has to go. And these were set up in pods of 5, so if y'all can stay for a few minutes and help us clean up, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks.
What's a pod of 5? What?
They were in 2 tables, 2 tables together, set up in 5. So I'll drop it up on the board.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you. Yes, we do have to clean up the room. Hopefully we can be out by 8:30. Lynn, go.
Okay, our theme for next week is Memorial Day. Jonathan Dunn's thought and pledge. Toastmaster is myself. Jonathan is speaker. Julian is speaking. Charlie is the table topics master. Mavis is general evaluator. Jessica, I have you down as an evaluator. Toni, evaluator. Mayfa, timer. So I don't know how Mayfa's going to be doing 2 things at once, but anyway.
What was he doing? What else was he
I have him down for general evaluator and timer, so I'm taking him off the timer.
Yeah, take off.
You may put someone else in as general evaluator because if he has to unconfirm again.
Okay, well, I'm gonna,
His father is in critical condition.
Okay.
Trying to.
would anyone like to be general evaluator? Susan, would you like to be general evaluator? Thank you.
And Lynn, I won't be here, I'm sorry. Cancel it.
Okay, Jessica will not be here, so I need another evaluator. Anyone? Okay. This is going to be an interesting meeting. Gail, I have, I'll come, but just for 2 to 3.
I didn't realize the candidates were speaking next week, and I hadn't planned to come, but I'll come for that, and then I've got to.
Okay. Pat's out, Jessica's off.
You know, the other thing is, Lynn, with candidates speaking, we should have 2 speakers. Are there 3?
There are 2 speakers.
There are 2, okay.
There are 2,
Thank
there are
you.
only 2 speakers.
Okay.
One's 15 minutes, and then Jonathan.
Right. 8 to 10.
8 to 10.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure, mine probably not gonna be 15 minutes, I'll have to get back with
Less or more?
less.
Alrighty, then we should be fine.
Okay.
I just need another evaluator. So if anyone would like to be an evaluator, please see me. You haven't done that yet.
Or, you know, the general evaluator can also be an evaluator.
We don't use that.
Okay, due to time, let's
Okay.
work that out. Thank you. You're a Toastmaster. Thank you, Lynn. Awards for this evening, starting with Most Improved Toastmaster. Oh! Tim Chastain Award for reasons mentioned earlier, Jessica Godfrey. Best table topics goes to our guest, Judy Schimmer. Best evaluator, Julian.
We can't have her come back every time she comes.
She was, I know. Best speaker. Jonathan.
Who did the lettering?
Thanks.
Wow, that's pretty good. Is that your engineering training? Yeah, that was Evaluator last night.
Jonathan, this is yours. Came in the building.
What about the
He did a good job, didn't he?
No, no shakes.